Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the Hisenior Mega 5P Ultra. This is an update to the original Mega 5P, 1+4 hybrid that roughly a year and a bit ago when it came out kind of shocked the hybrid market. First of all, because of its price. It was originally launched at $189. And also because the sound that it offered and it brought us was a sound which, if those of you that saw my original review, reminded me very much of the Manga T2. I've always liked the Manga T2. I've always thought that the Manga T2 was a really nicely tuned IEM. And, when you take into consideration the Manga T2 was a $320 IEM, and here we had a $190 IEM that subsequently went up to $229, if I'm not mistaken. No, sorry, 219. and we had an IEM that was significantly cheaper, trading blows, and even sometimes, in my opinion, superseding the performance of the T2. I thought that was pretty impressive. Anyway, this is the Ultra. This is the latest version. It's an updated version, basically the same internals. They've changed the shell and they've made slight adjustments to the tuning. Okay, so this is the box. Again, very much along the lines of what we are now seeing from Hisenior. Some of the specs in the back: 19 ohms impedance, 112 dBs of sensitivity, so relatively easy to drive. And then inside we have the case, which I'll show to you in a second. A nice ample array of tips. I'm actually using the stock tips. The other terminations for the modular cable, which is a graphene cable, and then a cleaning cloth and a clip for the cable. So nice. Some more accessories inside. Well, this box actually brings these accessories inside there. So nice accessory package. This is being sold for $239. It also brings the updated case over the original one in the Mega 5P. So the original one is the one on the left. This is the updated case, so significantly bigger. The updated one, you could fit the IM inside there, but it was a little bit on the tight side. The updated one has a little bit more compartments inside, and it just has a little bit more space. It also has this pouch on the top here you can use to put extra tips or whatever you want. So it's a nicer case overall. Bigger, true, not as pocketable, true, but it's going to keep your IEM nice and safe. Anyway, that's the accessories. Sufficient, more than adequate, good quality, price for the price of $239. Fine, non-offensive in any way, at least in my opinion, non-offensive. As for the IEM itself, like I said, graphene cable, as you can look, nice quality, modular cable setup. The shell, let me get here the right hand side so we can compare right with right. Okay, the shell externally looks the same, but if you look carefully, you start seeing that the new one is slightly smaller. It has a more pronounced lobe here in terms of the fit. It just fits nicer. There are angles that it actually looks like it's bigger. I think overall it's actually smaller. It fits nicer in the ear as well. They've updated the venting, as you can see. There were cases of some people actually saying that they had some driver flex on the original one. I never, maybe once or twice, to be honest with you, but otherwise it never really bugged me. This one, the new one, no driver flex whatsoever. Full black shell. I mean, you can obviously customize it. I regret it. I really regret not having customized my ones, to be honest. I should have made them look had them look with a different appearance. That would have been nice, since Hisenior does offer that possibility for you to customize your earphones. So in terms of the fit, it fits perfectly. I've got no issues. Isolates nicely. It's got a good quality shell. The resin is of good quality. I mean, okay, you could argue, but the faceplate is a little bit on the bland side. Well, like I said, this is the stock one. It's classy, unoffensive. If you want something a little bit more flashy, you can always pay a little bit extra and get it customized to your preference. I just recently saw a job they did for the T4 in a full clear shell faceplate that works. I mean, it looks absolutely stunning, absolutely stunning. Anyway, fit is perfect, isolation is fine, no issues. So let's talk about the sound, because that's what we want to know, and not, you know, be ranting about stuff which doesn't really interest us. Okay, so what do I have here? Original Mega 5P, a full Performer 5, Mega T2 obviously, and I've also got here the Award Audio. Why these three? Well, because I compared these three to the original, so it made sense to compare these three with the updated version. Okay, what is the signature? Neutral. If it was really neutral, yeah, with a slight little bass warmth, it continues being neutral, but more smoothed out, if that's the correct English terminology to use. Graphically, you don't see a really big difference, but when you listen to it and you start listening to it carefully with certain songs, what examples? For example, Wicked Game from Chris Isaac, you can pick up on a slight improvement in how polished it is with the newer Ultra version as compared to the older one. Mind you, please, and keep this in mind, I mean, the old one was very, very good. It played really well, and were it not for the Performer 5, which came and also destabilized the market at that point, you know, it would have had a more prolonged, let's say, success in terms of being the top hybrid at around $200. And ultimately, look, it still does have that success, because, you know, if you want something which is neutral and is very well tuned, unquestionable. I mean, I know plenty of people that not, for some reason or other, just don't like the Performer 5. I personally am a fan of the Performer 5. I think the Performer 5 is very capable. It's a very well designed IM, but it is what it is. Anyway, there are songs where, like I said, you do pick up on the improved smoothness of the Ultra. Nevermore from Dennis Talfmak is another song. The piano, it absolutely just comes, you know, you have to hear it, honestly. I'll post my playlist like I usually do. You have to hear the song with whatever IEM you have, and it's a song which you will very quickly see how piano comes across in your IEMs. And personally, for me, perfect. You know, not that any of these here don't do it well. They all do it very, very well, mind you. But you know, the Ultra doesn't lose to any of them. Let's put it that way. The Ultra holds its own and shows what it's worth. That's one of the songs where you can see it. Human Nature from Sevdaliza, again, another song where you know the pure dynamics of her voice and the whole bass line and instruments that accompany the whole song. You know, it's a beautiful song to actually you know, pick up on how dynamic an IM can be, how resolving an IM can be, how it handles voices. All Through the Night, again, another one from Larry Colton, which again enables us to pick up on an IM's ability to be you know, resolving the guitar, the tonality, everything. You know, these are just a few songs which really you know, really are able to give us a better perception and distinguish between IEMs and see what we prefer. All right. So neutralish in its presentation. In my opinion, it's, you know, the balance of bass, mids, and treble has been perfectly executed. I never found it to be sibilant. I never found it to be aggressive. The voices are perfect, male and female voices. Tone and tonality are, you know, perfectly done. A definite polished up, let's put it that way, over the original. The original was already very good, but if the original, for example, now compared to the A-Full, I personally found the A-Full to still make sense as a more viable or more complete IM compared to the original. If I thought that. This more neutral, this a little bit more fun, but that it had enough there to justify. Well, it also was a little slightly cheaper, but you know, considering that many of the times they were basically the same price, they are full-head enough to justify it being a perhaps a more sensible choice over the original. Now that is inverted. I actually believe now that this is a more sensible choice over the full. The only area where the full still just exceeds the performance slightly of the Mega 5 Ultra, Mega 5P Ultra, is in the upper mids and treble in terms of the amount of energy that's there present. But then again, that's very relative, because in either case it's very well done. This here will be more neutral, more, let's say, audiophile, let's call it that way, while that one there will be a little bit more energetic. But honestly, the differences here are minimal. So restarting here again so that we give some proper sequence here to things. Compared to the original Mega 5P, it is a improvement, definitely. If you have the original one, does it make sense buying this one? No, it doesn't. Honestly, it doesn't. There is not enough to justify you going and spending another $239 to have an IM, which is very similar. More polished, smoother here and there, especially with certain instruments, guitar, trumpets, saxes, and so on, that kind of stuff. So brass and wind instruments, you'll find that this does it just that little extra better. But I don't think it's enough that justifies you spending the money. If you don't have the original and you are in this, let's say, $220 price range, and you are looking for a properly designed, properly tuned IEM, a hybrid IEM, I would definitely say that this is a more than viable choice. I mean, I can do other comparisons. I know one IEM that's been having a lot of traction now lately is the Quintet. So if you guys ultimately want me to compare this to the Quintet, I can do that, the QE's Quintet. Anyway, so compared to the original, yes, it is an improvement in my opinion. Compared to the full Performer 5, I also consider it to be now a more if this, like I said earlier, if this was the more sensible choice over this one before, I would say now that they are about the same. This ultimately, maybe even this might be the more sensible choice, unless you can really pick this up for a crazy price, which is what basically will be the main calling card for the Performer 5 right now, is the price that you can get it for. If you already have it, is this an upgrade? No, it's not an upgrade, because they are very similar sounding. But if you're looking for an IM, like I said again, at this $200, $220 price bracket, if you obviously can pick this up for lower price, like I've seen this come down as low as $170. That's a no-brainer there. Obviously, I will tell you to go and buy this, because there's a $60 price difference here. So definitely. Otherwise, I would say that this might be more sensible, in the sense that I think in terms of the technicalities and the neutrality of those technicalities might please a lot of people. Over here, it's like I said, I personally like the way the highs are done here, the upper mids and the highs are done here, but I heard some people in the saying that it was not as polished and a little bit aggressive and a little bit too much. And look, it's like I say, this is such a subjective hobby that it's a difficult one to sometimes say have black and white answers. Compared to the Manga T2, if the original one was capable of giving you, I would say, 90% of the performance of the Manga at a significantly lower price, and ultimately that was the main reason why it would make sense if you could not afford that. Now this offers, for me, and honestly, I went through a lot of music, and I took my time in doing this review, as you can see, because I got this the same time as I got the Okavango and the T4. This is a more sensible choice over the Manga. $320 at LINSOUL. You can get it on AliExpress for around $220. I've seen it for $220, $230. But $320 for LINSOUL. $239, you can still get a discount coupon and so on for this. the price difference more than justifies the Ultra being the more sensible choice. Definitely. As compared to the Awur, well, the Awur is no longer available, but just for in terms of sound, you know, if again the original compared to the Awur lacked a little bit of that ultimate musicality which the Awur has, especially in the mids. It wasn't so much the bass, although yes, it did have a little bit more bass as opposed to that, but it was the mids really that made the Awur stand out. And still, nevertheless, however good they were, I also said that the Performer 5 traded blows of the Awur, because this was $380 and the price difference here was such that I personally thought that this was a more sensible buy over the Awur, and I like the Awur. Trust me when I say I like the Awur, and I recommended the Awur as it was an IEM, and it is an IEM capable of trading blows with more expensive IEMs. Now with the Ultra, I would say that the Awur is in the same position now as it was with the Aful. You know, the Ultra is first of all capable of the same quality of mids of the Awur, but with one advantage, which is it scales better than the Awur. Not saying that the Awur doesn't scale well, no, the Awur scales well. However, the Awur, if you are not somewhat careful with the source that you use, it can reach a point that area there of 5 to 7K, you know, it is slightly above the rest of the adjacent frequencies, and it can come out a little bit aggressive depending on what is the source that you have connected. This one here is smooth, really smooth, and on top of that it's got more extension in terms of the high frequency than the Awur. So were the Awur if the Awur would be available, would this be a sensible alternative? Very much so. If you have an Awur, is this an IM that you could go and buy or would make sense buying? Again, no. I mean, ultimately the reality is this. You know, if you own any of the other 4 IEMs, this IEM is better than some of them in certain aspects, is equal in others, but there's not enough here to really justify going out and buying it if you already own the others. If you do not own the others, and let's exclude now the Awur, if you do not own a Performer 5, if you do not own a Mangit, if you're not, well, the original one also you can't get it, but so let's basically just bring it down to these two. If if you're choosing something along this lines, yeah, I mean, and this it's got more, it ticks more than enough boxes to make it a very sensible and a very safe choice. You know, that's the reality. You know, it's well priced, well built, sounds great. So what more could you want? The Performer 5 is a fantastic IM, but its only significant calling card right now is the fact that you can pick it up at a reduced price, which makes it appealing because of that mainly. You know, especially if you're counting your dollars. And the Mangit, you know, if you can pick it up on AliExpress for the $220, $230, then maybe I could say, okay, fine, go for that, maybe because it's a piece of history, you know, all right. But if you're going to buy it from LINSOUL, which is the only other place where I've seen it available, then, you know, the price difference is so big that this makes a more sensible choice. That's the reality. All right. Anyway, guys, I'll just quickly show you the graphs. And like I said, if you want me to compare it to other stuff, I'll gladly do it. If you want me to compare it to the Quintet, if you want me to compare it to the Okavango, I can do it in another video so you guys can have, again, a better perception. One thing is for sure, I'll tell you this much. Compared to the Okavango, if you do not have the money for the Okavango, this is a very, very solid alternative. I'll tell you that much. It is a really, really nice IM. It does justice to its original and improves on the original, so it's a very, very nice IM, and it's actually quite impressive that they've been able to improve things, maintaining the price basically the same, but giving us better. I mean, the cable is better than the original. You know, it brings a bigger box, brings more accessories. So when you start counting all of those things, you know, and it's like I said, it ticks all the right boxes, and it ticks more boxes than many of these other IEMs. Yeah. All right, anyway guys, graphs, and we'll wrap it up. Hi guys, and welcome now to the graph section for the Hisenior Mega 5P Ultra. This is the graph of the Mega 5P Ultra. As you can see, everything sits within a nice 8, so we're talking about 9 dB window, more or less. Sub-bass focus, I mean, bass is this, this is nice execution of bass, just glides nicely, no bleeding to the mids. The mids then, they're not forward, because I mean, although they rise and peak at around 2, I don't consider them to be forward. They come across very smooth, and then kind of basically it starts dropping off straight away. If you actually look at it carefully, it starts dropping off. So you could say kind of a harmonish, but you know, the way that it comes across is very neutral. When you compare it to the original, let me just change the color here so that's something that stands out a bit more. Let me make it red. You can see that they graph very similar. So, also very neutralish, okay? Where you see the difference is, the biggest difference you see between the two of them is how this upper mid and treble area is done. In the original, it was... it's not even a question of darker. You can sense when you start listening to some of the songs that I was mentioning that there's more detail on the new one, okay? And you notice that it's smoother in the way that that does everything. It's very polished, very maturely done. That the changes that have been done here are very subtle, but noticeable. They are noticeable, not day and night huge, groundbreaking differences, but enough to be noticed if you have a good ear and you listen carefully. Okay, if you're just going to listen to some EDM, you're not going to pick up on it. But if you're listening to music, that's got detail and instruments and so on and so forth, you pick up. And it's like I said, it's the tonality and the timbre, the atmosphere that the new one creates is where you see the difference as compared to the old one. Okay, now next one here that I'm going to show you is the audio AUR. Okay, that's the audio AUR. It seems like it's got more bass. No, it doesn't have more bass. It doesn't. It's an 8mm. The Ultra is a 10. Where you do notice is that the AUR in this area here of the 5-6K, when you start cranking it up, it just comes across. If you're not careful with the source that you choose, it can come across a little bit. It's not even aggressive. It's just overly energetic, and can reach that point where you say, okay, this is gonna hurt now, so let me not increase the volume anymore. All right, but other than that, I mean, the AUR is beautiful. I mean, you can see you can just look at this up to 4K. They are basically the same thing. Then the Ultra drops here to take away any possibility of any aggressiveness or peakiness here in the 5K, while the AUR doesn't. And then again, they equal each other out, and then it's just the way that the Ultra just drops off. There's more information up top as compared to the AUR. Okay, that's the AUR. Next one is the Manget T2. Let me just change the color of the Manget, make it again something a little bit more visible, more let's make it green. Okay, all right, the Manget. I mean, I think it speaks for itself. Very similar bass, everything very similar. More detail, slightly more detail in the way that the upper mids and treble on the Ultra come across as compared to the Manget. And the Manget is detailed. The Manget has a lot more detail than what the graph would lead you to believe. You listen to the Manget, for example, okay, and you listen to the AUR, and the Manget, in my opinion, has more detail up top. More detail, unquestionably. You listen to the Manget and you listen to the original the original Mega 5P, and you can see the graph is very similar. Even the peaks and the way the extension is done here, it's got more extension up top, more sensation of air, okay, as compared to now the new one. No, it doesn't. The Ultra is very nicely. The Ultra does this whole area of upper mids treble very well. That's where I think ultimately is its biggest area where it kind of, you know, shows its goods, shows what it's made of. And finally, compared here to the full Performer 5, which is this one here, the full, very similar. Again, very similar. I mean, it doesn't get more similar than this. What you do notice is that their full, yes, does come across as having a little bit more info here, upper mids and treble, as compared to the Ultra, but it's not going to say that it's aggressive, because no, it's not aggressive. It has a little bit more detail, but it also sounds a little bit more, you could say that it sounds a little bit more fake almost, okay, while the Ultra gives you a more kind of audiophile, more correct presentation without really losing anything in terms of the detail of the upper mids and treble to the full. And that's it, guys. I mean, like I said, the Ultra is I mean, if this isn't a nice graph, and I really honestly don't know, this is a really nice, safe graph. It sounds fantastic. And compared to, like I said, let me just quickly show you here, the Okavango, Hisenior Okavango. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's this one. No, not the 01. Sorry, not the 01. Yeah, this one. Yeah, this is no, sorry, not that one again. No, the version that I listen to most is this one, exactly. And compared to the Okavango, let me just change the color, make it red. Like I said, I can go into more detailed presentation. Compared to the Okavango, excuse me, you do notice that the Okavango's got more energy. That's very noticeable, especially in the mid bass, more energy. In terms of the mids, they're very equal, because this extra that you see here is counteracted by the more energy that you have here. So it's like I was saying, I can safely say that the Mega 5P Ultra, for those that cannot afford the extra stretch to go, you know, to the Okavango and get the versatility of the tuning switches and get that little extra more detailed, more quality sound that the Okavango offers, which is not, mind you, is not a dramatic difference. It's not. The Mega 5P Ultra is definitely a very solid choice. The biggest area where you will see that it loses to the Okavango really is in the impact, the mid bass impact, and with that it can make certain genres obviously sound more alive, rock and so on and so forth, while on the Mega 5P Ultra they sound just a little bit more chilled, more relaxed. Okay, anyway guys, that's my take here on the Ultra. Any questions you might have, please feel free to ask and I'll do my best to answer. And don't forget, like and subscribe, please. Come on guys, I want to get to 5,000. I should already be at 10,000, never mind 5. So let's click that button there. Right, thank you, take care, bye bye.